those who are, um, desirous of being here, but are just not here. I'm just so grateful and appreciative of being here and being able to share with you guys. Um, so today has been a busy but fascinating day, and I wanted to be able to come on and share with you, like usual, just share with you from within, from out of the fullness, and yeah. So here I am, and there you are, and all is well. So I'm fond of telling people that I can't talk and chew gum at the same time, and so while I'm sitting over here trying to type, I am not able to talk very well, but I'm done with my typing. I just needed to type in a couple of words. Anyway, so welcomes and greetings to you. So this is Sandra Bishop, and today I am going to just talk. I'm going to talk just like normal and see what comes out. Let me start off as I normally do so that I can reset my thinking, my mindset, um, and get centered. The introduction of A Course in Miracles. It's found right in the front of your book, right behind the table of contents, and right before the text chapter 1, all of that good stuff. And it goes like this. And I say this because I recite it all the time. I say it from memory. So if I get one or two words out of order, please, blame it on my head and not my heart. So here we go. This is A Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The aim of the course is not to teach the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to your awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all encompassing can have no opposite. This course can therefore be summed up very simply. Did I miss a line? At any rate, say this with me. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way: nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So, as I'm talking to you, I'm noticing, because I'm on a webcam, I'm noticing all the stuff that I had in the background sitting up on this little desk. And so I just threw that stuff on the floor so you can't see it if you're watching me on Ustream, and if you're here in the room or on Paddle Talk, it doesn't matter to you. But it certainly seemed to matter for a moment to me. So now that the I don't know if the area has the look and the appearance of being a little more straight and orderly, I can kind of move on with this. It was interesting this past weekend. I listened to Woke Up Early, and I think I listened to Joel Osteen. Sometimes I think I listen to him in my sleep because I'm not really awake. I'm somewhere between that state of dreaming and being awake. And what I think he was talking about was this idea of excellence, excellence in everything that we do. And so, as he talked about excellence, he said that we should strive for excellence because it's closer to being godlike when we're doing our thing of excellence. And so he started talking about even washing your car, and I mean, and it was like I just cringed because I was thinking to myself, I never wash my car. I never wash my car, and very rarely do I clean it out. And but I know I'm not being judged on those types of things. As a matter of fact, none of us are being judged. It's so interesting when I found the course, when I found metaphysics in general, I came from a teaching that basically browbeat you into feeling guilt and having all this guilt, attached to everything. And so I was so accustomed to guilt that, there was little room for me to understand that I was always in my divine right place. We talk about a lot of times being in our divine right place, and for most of us, most people, we've got a notion of what it means to be in our divine right place. But, I am fond of telling people that no matter where you are in your life, no matter what your situation is, you are in your right place. You're in the right place to get you to where you need to go. Wherever you are, I don't care what you're going through right now. If you look around you at your life situation, that situation came there for your good. I forget what the line is in the course, says, but how would you act? How would you react if you knew that everything that you experience, everything that you were encountering is there for your growth and for your good? And those things happen to you so that you can learn through them and grow through them and not necessarily look at it as if it is something that has gone wrong. A lot of times I've looked at not only situations, things that I've done, relationships that I've been in, places where I thought that I've made missteps. Those places caused in me this need for me to sit up and pay attention. It activated this consciousness. I remember when I was younger, my dad was saying something to me about the morality of something. He started talking about, of morality and morals. And I said to him, I remember thinking, and I said to him, I think I was a teenager, I don't have any morals. I don't know where you get that idea from. And I remember the shocked look that he had on his face. And from where I was thinking that I was living my life just as, like fly by night, doing what I wanted to do, making impulsive decisions, not really caring how it affected or made somebody else feel. I was just doing it, doing it, doing it. And so, for me, I was like, that morals are old fashioned. That's what that was my vantage point. It was old fashioned to have morals. And so I was just like not even having any of that crap. So, as life went on, there were things that I encountered, things that I did that do I want to say I automatically, as soon as it happened, I had a feeling about it. I cringed. I had a reaction. And for me, it became this thing of being empathetic, of being compassionate, of feeling along with another person, of of whatever it was, but it woke up something in me, and it said to me I could do better. That even though the what I felt inside wasn't based on thou shall not principles, because if you give me a rule, I was going to break it. It wasn't based on those principles about guilt and right from wrong. It was that I realized that I cared about what happened to other people. I cared about how they felt. Even in seeing my father's reaction, I cared that he had a reaction. I've told you guys before that to some extent I remember as I was growing up, um, the shifts that I made in how I was seeing things. I mean, it was and wait a minute. So wait a minute. I just had one of those senior moments. um, as I was growing up, I used to think that I was kind of like detached and not attached to other folks. And I had this, this kind of like thing. If you give me a rule, you give me a rule, you put something in front of me, I'm going to break it just because you put it in front of me. And that was kind of like the way that I operated for my teen life. I was rebellious. My girlfriend said that my middle name was Defiance because I just, for no other reason other than because I was going to break the rule. And so it was Sandra Defiance Bishop for a long time. And I took a lot of pride in that. And then at some point, I realized that I really did care about other people. And sometimes what triggers that caring is when you see somebody else that is in distress, or somebody else wrong another person. Then all of a sudden something wakes up within you and says, this is not right, this cannot stand. So I don't know that all of us come into or grow through the values and morals and teachings that our parents try to impose on us. Sometimes it's necessary that we kind of separate ourselves off from that kind of upbringing, separate ourselves off so we can find out who we truly are. And it was through some of those experiences, just like that, that I found out who I was. So whether it was, I was always fighting for the underdog. If you picked on some kids around me, I was going to come to their rescue. And it wasn't for me based on morals, but just based on this compassion and empathy that I felt towards other folks. And so I was always fighting some battle or something somewhere. So as I come to this teaching and to any teaching, I come to it from a standpoint of not necessarily wanting to follow the rules. By nature, I'm a rule breaker. By my nature, you tell me left and I'm going to go right just to test it. Not necessarily to be ornery or to just be argumentative, but just because there is something about me that just doesn't want to be constrained, restrained, told what to do, any of that stuff. It just doesn't work for me. So when I came to and I found metaphysics, I was like thinking like, whoo, because I don't know if I share with you guys, the first time somebody told me about it, they were like, oh, you think like that church over there. And I'm thinking like, no, 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 no. My thoughts are my thoughts. My thoughts are, and I thought, my relationship and what I was experiencing was something that I created. And so when they say that there's nothing new under the sun, I kept thinking to myself, well, apparently there is, because I've got a new way of thinking. When I finally found out what the group thought, I was like, okay, okay. So they're kind of close to where I am, but not quite there. But I can hang out with these guys because I think they've got something that I wanted to learn. And I know that a lot of teachings will tell you that you'll accept this in its entirety or not at all. I'm not one that sits there and says to anybody that I got a 100% buy-in. I take what I can take. I use what I can use, and the rest of it, I simply let it go. And for me, it's almost like it's sacrilegious for you to tell me, or for anybody to tell me that I have to do something a particular way, because it just doesn't work for me. That's why the course was so refreshing. There was this thing that in there that and it's saying to me that, what, it's fine, it's fine. Part of you having a free will means that my choice is not trying, nobody is trying to take my choice away from me. So I realized that that a lot of folks would have some issues with that, and that's cool. But for me, it was right on time. So, like usual, I'm sitting here in my office, and so I get to open up stuff and I get to read stuff and I get to look down at my book and look at other things. And so as I sat down today, um, okay, so I'm sure Paul, Dr. Tuttle, wrote in here that the course gets a lot of religious abuse refugees, and I'm sure, to some extent there are a lot of abused people across the board, um, and I see them in different areas. And sometimes people, when they get older, because they couldn't accept things when they're younger, when the fight is gone out of them, for whatever reason, then they come back to this thing called religion. For me, I never look at it as if I'm religious. I don't even think of myself as religious. I always think of it as a spirituality that embraces and encompasses all. So I don't have a prejudice about what a person is learning. Like I've told folks over and over again, I've sat in the synagogues and I've learned about Judaism. I've gone to, gone to different churches, whether they're Baptist, Seventh Day Adventist, Church of God in Christ, Unity. I've gone to it all, and for me, no matter where I am, this communion of the Spirit is what I'm after. It doesn't matter to me whether or not you're saying things right or wrong. It doesn't matter to me whether or not you're in total alignment with me. The lines of division between me and my brother have melted for me. And so I speak my piece and I say what I have to say and I just simply let it be without needing to see somebody as different, somebody as separate or apart. So I'm right where I desire to be. Um, and and that's all good. So Reverend Steele says, what could you not accept if you but knew that everything which happens, all events past, present, and to come, are gently planned by one whose only purpose is your good? While you made while you made plans for death, he led you gently to eternal life. And yes, that was exactly the quote I was looking for. Thank you so much. That's so special. Thank you. So, bless your heart. So as I sit here, one of the things that I opened up or I looked over and I saw on my notes was this the some of you will remember out of the Matrix. In the Matrix movie, there was a line in there when Neo went in to see the Oracle, and The Matrix is still one of the hands down one of the most spiritual movies I've ever watched. I'd be interested in seeing what other people thought was one of the most spiritual movies that they've ever saw or seen. But The Matrix, hands down, was that for me. And I know that I loved watching Star Wars, and I thought Star Wars was very spiritual. And there's some other movies that were purposefully spiritual, but The Matrix does a sneak move on you, and so I love it for that type of thing. That I can give you this pill. You're taking the blue pill and you don't even know you're taking the pill. That's what's wonderful about it. And movies when they can wrap up a good message in there for you without you knowing about it, is just fabulous. The Dalai Lama rated Groundhog Day very highly. Okay, I'll have to revisit that. I don't remember watching Groundhog Day, but I used to tell people all the time that sometimes what we have to do, I know for me, I did radio. I tell people all the time I did radio for 12 plus years, and I was on terrestrial radio. So, and it was decidedly a secular station. So it wasn't like I was sitting there talking about spirituality, religion, or even God all the time. So I learned how to give people messages in a way that didn't butt up against their sensibilities. A lot of times we want to beat people over the head with the Bible or even with the Course. We want to quote lines to them that have absolutely no relevance to them. But what I try to do is take a message and kind of rewrap it, or look at my life experiences and take a life experience and show it to you so that you'll see exactly what I'm talking about without me trying to impose upon you a particular doctrine. And so in The Matrix, it was one of those movies that just did it for me. It was like, woo, this is the story here of Jesus. And without even saying that this is about Jesus, it's the story, it's the story, it's the story. So anyway, when Neo went in to see the Oracle, um, he first encountered a boy that was sitting on the floor, and they just kind of said, these are other hopefuls. So have a seat in there with all these other hopefuls. And so Neil sat down in front of the boy with the spoon. I'm sure you'll all remember the boy with the spoon. And the boy was sitting there and he was bending this spoon. I mean, the spoon was bending and it was going all over the place and everything. And he was just holding it in his hand. And so when Neil sits down, the boy hands the spoon over to Neil and asks him if he wanted to try. And so, as Neil took the spoon, he says, do not try to bend the spoon, for that is impossible. He says, instead, try to recognize the truth. And Neil looks at the spoon and he says, the truth? And, and the little boy said, yes, the truth, that there is no spoon. Then you will realize that it is not the spoon that bends, but only yourself. Don't you love that? It's not the spoon that bends, but only yourself. A lot of times, what we try to do is we try to bend everything to our understanding. There's another line in the Course. Oh gosh, what does that line say? Um, oh, I don't even know. I'll think of it in a minute. But so we're busy going around trying to bend everything else to meet our expectations of what it ought to be. We do this with people, we do it with our children, we do it with our spouse, we do it with our friends, we do it at work, we do it with various situations. We even do it with the Course. We do it in across the board. We're always trying to bend things to our understanding of it. But it's not the things that bend. It is only us that bends. So, you know, I remember growing up, um, I remember growing up and people saying all the time, well, I'm going to pray for you, as if they're doing me a favor. And it's like, really, when we pray, when I pray, it's not the other person that changes, it's me that changes. I change how I see things. I change my role in it. I change my perspective. The other day I was in class, and it's so interesting because people want to hold on so rigidly to their thoughts and their ideas, even their own judgments about themselves. They sit there and they think, oh my gosh, I couldn't possibly be forgiven. I couldn't possibly be loved. And the fact that Sandra is sitting there saying this to me just shows further how naive she is rather than the possibility that they could possibly be wrong. You know, when the Course tells us that love is the only truth, right? If it says that what is all encompassing, it says the aim of the Course is not to teach the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to your awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. So, your natural inheritance, what you are, is love. That is your truth. That is all there is. What is all encompassing, if it is all encompassing, means that there is nothing that stands outside of love, not even you. So if it's all encompassing, there's not half over here, half over there, a little bit in this corner and a little bit in that corner, or reserved for only the people that are good. It means it is all encompassing, meaning it is total, complete, everything falls up in and within this thing called love. Nothing outside of it, because there is no outside of all. All is all, total and complete. And so it becomes this thing of we have so like convinced ourselves in our own mind. It's as if we've hypnotized ourselves to believe that we are unlovable, to believe that we are not worthy of the very best, to believe that we're not worthy to be host of God. But the Course tells us I'm either a host to God or I'm hostage to the ego. And the ego is a non-entity. So it is this like little fence. I think that's the way that the Course kind of described it at one point. It's this little fence that you put up in the midst of the ocean. You put this fence up, staking out your claim in the middle of the ocean. What is a fence in the middle of the ocean going to do? What is it going to keep out? What is it going to change or affect? It is a non-thing. And so those blocks that we erect trying to keep love out, or trying to think that we're somehow unlovable, means nothing here. So it becomes this thing of it's not the other things out there that bend, because there's no other things. There is nobody else to try to bend. It's only yourself. And so when you realize that, you know what, you're fluid, you can change your mind. I was talking to a young lady who was telling me about she was having problems even sleeping. And I kept asking her, well, what do you think is causing you not to sleep? And so she kept coming up with all this stuff that, was the issue and the problem. And I've got this going on and I got that going on. And I asked her, I said, well, wonder if you knew that that was nothing, wonder if you knew that everything that happens to you is like designed by like one who loves you. I mean, everything that happens, all events past and present, are gently planned by one whose only purpose is your good. Wonder if you knew that. Would that cause you to act differently? And, it was as if I'll tell you how all of us, most people, I won't say all of us are, but most people want to take their perceived problems and they want to crowd them up around them like a nice soft blanket. And they want to keep them there and not let go. It's kind of like Lioness. Lioness, is that how you say it? In the Charlie Brown show, where he would keep that little blanket with him, that dirty blanket, and he would drag it everywhere he went, and he had this cloud over his head everywhere he went. And that was his truth at the time. It was his choice. But realize that that doesn't have to be your choice. That you can change your mind at any time you get ready. You can see it differently. You can see that you gave meaning to it, that you were the one who deemed it a problem in the first place. And really, all those things are there just to help you further along that path, to help grow you. It's not meant for your bad, it's only meant for your good. And so if you change the way you see things, right? What you see changes. And that's the truth of it. So realize only the truth, that there is no spoon. Then you will see that it is not the things in life that bend, but only yourself. You can change it by simply changing your mind. You can, in fact, change your mind about yourself. I am amazed at how many people have not accepted themselves, their gifts, all that they have that is true about them. How many folks are still beating up on themselves about, what silly stuff? How big your thighs are, how much you weigh, whether you're married or not, whether you can cook or not, whether or not you're talented, whether or not words just come to you. I mean, for some reason, people always have ideas and criticisms and things like that I think maybe it was Marianne Williamson said, nobody has to put you down because you put yourself down. You don't even give anybody else a chance. You don't give a bully a chance to come and tell you how inadequate you are. You'll be the first one to say it. You'll raise your hand and say, hey, let me tell you my flaws. I know I've done it too. And as much as I love myself, as much as I love this girl, Sandra, I mean, every once in a while, I find myself in the same situation. I and that's amazing to me because I sit there and I think to myself, who is this? Who is that woman that doesn't think that she's totally good enough for exactly what she desires? I know that that's not God's thought about me. It's only my thought about me. It's that ego thought about me. So when I say that you are either host to God or hostage to the ego, look at it from the standpoint of you. And I'll share this with you guys again. I don't know if you ever, because we all have different people in the room all the time. So I don't even know if you heard about this before. But one particular time I was doing this meditation, and I'll tell this story again because I thought it was me, it was me, it was me. So I used to watch all the time. Um, I'm so glad you guys can't see all of what I'm doing over here. There was this. I used to watch this show that came on one of the public access channels. It was a classroom thing. So uh, the community college that's here would have these classes, and they would air online. And in these classes, they would talk about whatever. They put it on the board. You could see the class. You could see the teacher, and you could just watch. I mean, it came on during the day. You could watch if you wanted to. And so I used to watch it just kind of like thinking that I'm going to expand my mind and my consciousness. Well, one of these classes was a religious class, and they had students, of all different backgrounds and everything like that. And the teacher would kind of get into the discussion with these students. And there was this one woman that was always, 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 always putting her hand up. Everything she knew a little something about. So I had decided in my mind that that woman I did not like. I didn't like her. She was always talking and she had a squeaky voice and she was just annoying because she knew something about everything. That was where I was at the time, and now it's like I'm like, God bless folks that know stuff. But at the time I was there, and so they started talking about meditation on this particular day, and as they were talking about meditation, here goes this woman's hand up in the class, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, please don't call on her because it's like if you call on somebody else, they'll ask a question. She wants to grandstand. I mean, her answers become like 5-minute answers, and she talks, and then she kind of like, it's like doing a filibuster in the middle of the TV show or a class that's really a TV show. She's doing a filibuster talking. So, so they're talking about meditation, and the teacher is talking about meditation. And I don't know, maybe she thought, well, clearly this man doesn't meditate because here her hand goes up. And so I'm like thinking, I could go get me some water or some coffee or something while she's talking. But anyway, I sat there because I was thinking, like, maybe they'll wrestle back the conversation from her and we can move on. So she started talking about she had been to some wonderful place and learned about meditation, and that she would do these meditations with a group, and and she talked about the way that meditation felt. And I'm still sitting there impatient. Would she hurry up, not even caring what the heck she was saying, just that she needed to hurry up. And so then finally she says, well, the guy who was teaching her meditation, I don't know if it was some kind of guru or something. She named his name and everything, but who cared at the time? She named his name and everything, and she said that he always said that, he didn't give us a specific amount of time to meditate. He didn't say 15 minutes, or he didn't say 30 minutes or anything like that. He said, always meditate 5 minutes longer than it's comfortable for you. And I'm thinking, she's talking 5 minutes longer than it's comfortable for me. That's what my mindset was at the time. And so, anyway, so the teacher got back the rest of the class, and he wrestled it back the topic and everything, and he finished up. And okay, and so, fine, the show was over. Great. And I was happy that I watched. But the next day when I got in my little closet, because I sincerely have a little closet that I meditate in, or I used to. I don't meditate in my closet much anymore because I have these power surges, and me being in a closet just is not conducive. So now I have a chair in a corner where I sit and light my candle and I meditate. Anyway, but the next time I was in the closet, as I was sitting there meditating, I meditated, and I slipped off into my place. I don't even know what the place is that I go. It's a non-place. It's a non-thought. It's nothing. It's and most of the time when I come up out of it, I don't even remember that I was there. So I slipped into that place and I did my meditation. And when I was done with the meditation, I remember I kept thinking to myself, I'm coming back up, I'm coming out of my meditation. And so I'm sitting there, and then I thought, that irritating woman came to mind. Sit 5 minutes longer than it's comfortable. And I thought, what is she doing in my closet? That's what I'm thinking. What is she doing here? And so, and so what happened was, is I thought, okay, well, darn it, if she can sit 5 minutes longer, I'm going to sit 10. And so that's what I decided to do. I decided to sit there, and I have no clock in there. I have no perception of time in there. It's just I'm sitting. And so I sat there. And as I sat there in my meditation, and I know this is a long story to be telling you guys, but as I sat there in my meditation, in my 5 to 10 minutes longer than what I was comfortable doing, I was deep in this thing, and all of a sudden, I'm sitting there, eyes closed, and I'm just there. And all of a sudden, I felt something blink. And I, so wait a minute. I felt something blink. And I thought, my eyes are closed. I was like, what the hell was that? And I sat there for a minute and I thought, holy crap. And it was almost as if I felt like I did a shift within myself. Kind of like, who's looking through my eyes? And I wanted to do this turn. And so there in my, still in my lotus position, still seated with my eyes closed, it's as if I felt myself turning on myself to see who was looking out of my eyes through me, because it wasn't me that blinked. So when the Course said that I'm host to God, when that woman, what's her name? Um, I want to tell you what her name is because I absolutely love her. What is her name? Uh, Jean Houston, Dr. Jean Houston. When she said that in that book that we are the lensing point of God consciousness here on earth, that awareness that something is observing the world through me, that something is coming into this space through me, dawned on me in that extra 5 minutes. And I thought to myself, like, holy crap. I'll tell you guys, when it says, when I read Jesus said that this is the temple, that my body is a temple, I got it on a whole nother level. When the Course says I'm host of God, I understood it on a whole nother level. When all of this started coming to me and talking about this oneness, it's like this energy that I'm using, that I think I'm using, is an energy. It's almost like I'm plugged in. I'm plugged into a source. It's source energy. And this entity, this thing that I think that I am, is plugged into and using this energy that is not me, but yet it flows through me. I'm plugged into the source like we all are. But not all of us recognize and know that we're using an energy, that this thing called God is using us, each and every one of us, at every moment. It is what we are. It animates us. It is, it's the very essence of our being. And so the fact that there is no spoon, the fact that it is not the spoon that bends, that only myself, it's a shift in the consciousness that I made. It's a shift in how I got a chance to see things, how I understood things from a whole different level. It's all so beautiful because it started to make sense to me. And it was all because that irritating woman said that I should sit 5 minutes longer than I was comfortable. And for some of you, you'll sit there and you'll hear my words tomorrow and you'll think, that darn Sandra, no, she didn't. No, she didn't say that. And so now you feel compelled to sit 5 minutes longer than it's comfortable. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and why not? So there is the richness in this thing of surrendering, of thinking about it from a standpoint that says, why not? You know, this is where I am, and with this where I am, why not? From right here, why not? So so we can think that we're out here battling up against something, that there is a struggle against, principalities and all of this other crap, or against each other, or against this idea of our ego. But if you look at it differently, if you look at it like that fence that's set up in the midst of the ocean, you can have the ego. Your ego can just run amok if it so chooses, but it's of not. I mean, it you know, it it comes to no end. I mean, it is nothing. It is nothing. And so it becomes this thing of just how we choose to see, Yeah, it's how we choose to see. Really, there is no spoon. Isn't that great? There is no spoon. So, so you guys, it becomes a thing of changing not only the conversation, but how we see ourselves. You were created in love. You are love. There is nothing about you that is not there by divine design. You are exactly as you were meant to be. Every bump, every knot, every muscle, all those things are by design. And if you feel like you're not quite satisfied, that's fine because that dissatisfaction is trying to pull you higher. It's there for your good. It's there for your only for your good. That dissatisfaction is spurring you into action in another area of your life. It's saying, come up higher. Or it's saying that there's something left that you still need to do, that there is more out here for you to do. If you just open your eyes, it's right there. It's as if there's a thin veil that is covered over what where you are and where you desire to be. And if you don't go up and touch that veil, you'll never see what's on the other side. But if you simply do, all those things, all those obstacles, all those things that you thought were in the way will simply fall by the wayside. Like in the nines, we have no belly button. That's so interesting that you wrote that. My aunt, when she was here from Seattle, uh, that's all she kept telling my nephew, and he's only 2, but she's Auntie Belly Button. And she was like, let me see that belly button. And every time she walked in the house, he just proudly rip up his shirt and hold it up like, I got a belly button. So, um, so yeah, oh man, this is so good for me. So, listen, I have okay, so I looked down at my book. I know I've only got a couple of minutes before this is over, but I'm going to read to you just for a second, just because I've got a couple of seconds, and that's what I like to do. I like to read something right quick out of the book. So I'm going to try to do this as swiftly as possible. It's out of chapter 21. This is where I open to reason and perception. It's from the introduction of that chapter. It says, projection makes perception. The world you see is what you gave it, nothing more than that. But thought, it is no more than that. It is not. Oh, but though, but though it is no more than that, it is not less. Therefore, to you, it is important. It is the witness to your state of mind. Oh, man. The outside picture of an inward condition. As a man thinketh, so does he perceive. Therefore, seek not to change the world, but choose to change your mind about the world. Perception is a result and not a cause. And that is why order of difficulty and miracles is meaningless. Everything looked upon with vision is healed and holy. Nothing perceived without it means anything. And where there is no meaning, there is no chaos. Damnation is your judgment on yourself, and this you will project unto the world. See it as damned, and all you see is what you did to hurt the Son of God. If you behold disaster and catastrophe, you tried to crucify him. If you see holiness and hope, you join the will of God to set him free. There is no choice that lies between these two decisions, and you will see the witness to the choice you made and learn from this to recognize which one you choose. The world you see but shows you how much joy you have allowed yourself to see in you and to accept as yours. And if this is its meaning, then the power to give it joy must lie within you. Oh man. I tell you, this course is always so right on time. That's so right on time. All right, you guys. I'll see you next week on Monday. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been Sandra Bishop. SandraSaidIt.com is my website. I'm about to get that into high gear. You can friend me on Facebook. I'm Sandra D. Bishop. Or you can find me on Facebook.com/ Sandra Thrives. On Twitter, it's San Bishop, SanBishop. I love you. I love you. I love you. I'll see you next Monday. All right. Blessings to everybody, one and all.